So once you have that, okay, because that only takes you so far, right? You can't spend a whole career just playing the arpeggios and the scale tones, okay? Because it's limited, right? So basically, you have scales and modes that are related to these chords, right? In this case, the G major scale and its related modes. So we've got G major. We've got A Dorian. And we've got D Mixolydian. Okay, those are all of those modes are based on the G major scale, okay, and they're all related to these chords A minor, D7, and G major 7, okay. However, in no way is the scale a melody, okay. The scale is a scale. It's not a melody, okay. So the way we get from that to a melody, okay, is we either add something to it or we take something away from it, okay? So what I mentioned just before was about using the arpeggios, right? So we're taking notes out of the scale. We're not going to play the 1, we're not going to play the 4, we're not going to play the 6, okay? We're just going to play the 3, the 5, the 7, okay, maybe a 9th in there or something, all right? And that can give you this structure that can be used for improvisation and variation, right? So, okay, so using the arpeggio, taking notes away, all right? The next thing we can do is by adding notes, all right? And in jazz, we use a lot of what we call chromaticism, right? I don't know if you know the chromatic scale, right? It's just right, this chromatic scale, just all the notes, right? So we use these chromatic notes to move from chord tone to chord tone, right? So if we're targeting, we're thinking about like the thirds of each chord, okay? We can do something like this. Okay, so now we're adding chromatic notes to move from note to note. But yeah, navigating your way through a tough set of chord changes, you know, takes a really long time to get very good at it. But in a short time, you can understand and build like a basic structure for improvisation. For the 2, the 4, and the 6, well, you can use them as extensions, right? So instead of calling them 2, 4, and 6, you can think of them as like 9, 11, and 13. Okay, and those are great. I mean, those are chord tones as well. Okay, which, you know, every note in the scale is a possible chord tone. All right, and each one, you know, this is where we, you know, if we practice this stuff over time, like we begin to prefer the sounds of certain notes over certain chords, right? And everyone is different. Everyone prefers a different different sound, right? And this is due to the fact that whenever we practice and whenever we hear music, our brain remembers it, right? And we can recall that, musical information that we've been exposed to later on when we play, right? So that's another really important aspect, is that you can't learn this by technique and theory alone. You need to do a great deal of listening, okay? Listening and imitation, right? So if you start out, you practice the scale, and you learn the scale degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And you start to hear those notes, okay? So, I'll play a root, and that note, even if I, am hearing someone else play it, I can't see, I can hear that that's a major 7, right? So after a while, you'll start to be able to hear these notes, okay? You hear a chord played on the piano, and you can hear that 9th. You're like, that guy's using the 9th, okay? So your hearing and your listening develops as you practice and as you listen more and more, right? And as you think about scale degrees and intervals and harmony, so then you'll be listening to your favorite player, and you'll say, oh man, he's using the flat 9 on that chord. He's using the 13th. I'm going to try that. All right. So, deciding on which chord tones you're going to target can be maddening. I mean, I've heard composers say, "Oh, I've got these 12 notes, and man, where do I start? I can't get started." So I think it just takes time and listening and practice. Yeah. But yeah, any note is a potential chord tone in the scale. If you think about the Dorian scale, you've got the 1, the 2 or 9th, the minor 3rd, the 4 or 11, the 5, the 6th, okay, the minor 6th, the minor 7th, back to the 1, okay, and any of these notes could be a chord tone. D minor with the 3rd on top, D minor with the 11 on top, D minor with the 5th on top, D minor with the 6th on top, D minor with the 7th on top. Okay. So yeah, try them all out, and have an attitude of exploration and experimentation with the notes, the melodies, everything. Thank you guys for coming out. Like I said, I'm teaching here now. So if you're interested in jazz or blues or any style, really, just guitar theory and music theory, you can sign up for lessons any time. Okay. Any other questions? Cool. Well, thanks for coming out. I'm real glad you guys came out. And, thank you very much.